even recording you right now. I'm recording. Here you go.
Okay, so this just stays with me.
You ready to go?
Because the party don't start till I walk in.
I'm trying to get my kid to be on your team, and this is how you're behaving.
She's like, wait a minute, I'm not questioning.
He likes running very enough. I mean, not that he doesn't like you, but.
Okay, let's do it to it, Lars.
When's your practice? When do you meet?
2 weeks of Tuesday practices.
Okay.
So next week and the spring break week, and then games.
How many games a week?
I think it'll be 7 games total, and I don't know about per week. I don't have that schedule. Yeah. Woo! Like my meme? Is it funny? You trying to understand it?
Oh, now I get it.
You get it? Come on in, we got a party today. One of my favorite days of the semester. And I've got a lot of favorite days of the semester. Hey-oh! Sarcasm, just one of my many talents as well. Greetings, greetings. Come on, it's me, Michelangelo! Bam! You make it 4, make it 4. There it is. Thank you, greetings.
Did y'all do the thing?
Bam!
Did y'all do the thing?
Of course we did the thing. I hurt my hand in.
Did they like it? Group help to the
Look at their artwork. Hey, he's me and Michelangelo. Okay, here come on in there. Mr. Leon. Oh yeah, here's a real party. Party and a half.
Yay!
What? Okay. Yeah.
So he picks his weight in the air and who's eating.
And all the food. Okay, continue.
And somebody puts his he's after that is and it's walking around school.
Well, that's inappropriate, isn't it?
Yeah, so now he's not that right.
Did you get that? What you got it down? Oh, we brought your portfolio.
You brought some art for me to
All right,
see.
I like it. You need some watercolors? Make it a real masterpiece.
I'm good. I have an art set at home.
How's the drip? Drip or drown, is that what they say? Okay.
But I'm cold.
The last 2 days, so I need 2 days. Yes, I'm thinking. You haven't missed any papers. Okay. We finished up Crusades, and then yesterday we introduced Renaissance. So got about like 5 points on your notes from yesterday. You get a partner on Google Classroom, and today we're just continuing Renaissance. Probably post the information. You know how to repeat stuff over and over.
This come without asking for.
Is that the first bell or second bell? I heard we're going under this. What? I heard we're going under. Man, they always spoil my surprises. All right, welcome to Thursday. It's me, Michelangelo, and I'm in the Italian Renaissance. Yes, Italian Renaissance. Starting in what city? Florence, Italy. Thank you. Hey, what do you think about my meme? Why is this funny?
Because Italy has so many.
Because Michelangelo's the top of the tradition.
That's pretty deep for SpongeBob, isn't it? Marquand, you on point. Italy has the pyramid of cheeseburgers of great artists, Michelangelo, Da Vinci, and the rest. And then America, by gosh, we are so proud with our little quarter pounder of Bob Ross. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? Okay, how about this one? I didn't slide this one on there yet. Why is this one funny? Why does this one make it funny?
The disciple read out Jesus.
Got some talkers. Okay, there's an imposter among us. Yeah, this is a Renaissance piece of art. Anyone know the painter? Yes. Huh? The other one. Yeah, Da Vinci. That's right. So this is, hey fellas, this is a painting called The Last Supper, super famous. Now, not a photograph, okay, no cameras involved. Do we know if it happened exactly like this? Not exactly. But Leonardo Da Vinci's interpretation of The Last Supper, Jesus, 12 disciples, and we didn't really say this during our religion week, but part of the story of Christianity is that Jesus was betrayed by one of his disciples, sold out, you could say, for 30 pieces of silver. Anyone know the name of that disciple? Judas, that's right. So this is funny because y'all were obsessed with Among Us for like 14 days last semester. And the catchphrase, there's an imposter among us. So Renaissance art. Also, it makes an appearance in the story, both the book and the movie called The Da Vinci Code. Anybody ever read the Da Vinci Code? And it is said, I haven't really historically flushed this out for myself, but it has been said that if you take the hands of each person in the picture and you see that they're at different locations and you put musical notes on those hands, it actually plays a bar of music. So maybe that's something for us to figure out in a different class. Da Vinci kind of hiding some clues in his painting, perhaps. Let me do this boring thing real quick and point out everything I'm checking tomorrow, okay? So we will binder check before we go out and play with the Marines, okay? So the faster we binder check, the easier it is for me to see everything. Just like bam, 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 that's 100. The sooner we can get out and go play with the Marines. So Jacqueline's taking a picture, that's great. I'll put it on Google Classroom as well. Everything you need. It's kind of a double binder check because it's last week on to this week. So kind of an important binder check. Want you to be on top of it and want you to make sure you know exactly what is due. All right, what's the word on the street? What first block say that we did? First block rat me out. They tell you all my fun secrets and such. No? Okay, good. Good job, first block. Thanks for not ratting me out. We're going to continue a little bit with the Italian Renaissance. A couple minutes of kind of upfront review, which will be really good for Chance. My man Chance wasn't here yesterday. Anyone else that needs to catch up on the notes? That's what we're going to do for a couple minutes here. Then we're going to kind of specifically talk about art. Again, I know we looked at some pieces of art yesterday. We're going to talk about some artists. Now, remember, when we say the phrase a Renaissance man, what are we really describing?
A man of all bases.
A man of all, what word did you use? What word did you use? Bases, many skill sets, right? Competent in many different areas. So we're going to look at some real Renaissance men. They are artists, but they are also thinkers and inventors. They even have a little bit of military tactician inside their skill sets. So yeah, we may be looking at art, but I want you to start to see how the skill of art, be it painting or sculpture or otherwise, art is really a commentary on being skilled as a thinker, being skilled in many other areas as well. So first things first, let's take on the mission. Here's the mission summary. The Black Death was the darkest moment of the Dark Ages. The people of Europe decided it was time for a change. They looked back to their glorious past. Remember me talking about the glory days? What were they looking back towards? Classical period, that's right, and that's defined by what two major civilizations? Greece and Rome. Good. So they look back to their glorious past as Romans and Greeks with hopes of recreating it. Old books, now called classics, became their instruction manuals. Could they do it? Could they finally break out of the darkness? This is our mission. Do we choose to take it? I said this is our mission. Do we choose to take it? Dun-dun-dun. All right. So, essential question. What was the Renaissance? Well, maybe let me rephrase. What does Renaissance literally mean?
Rebirth.
Rebirth. Good. And we had our opening question yesterday. If what were you to rebirth, what types of institutions would you want to reborn? And you guys came up with essentially all the key pillars that the Renaissance touched on. So what were those key pillars?
English,
Technology, language,
politics.
art, and politics. Yeah, what else? Did you say something? I mean, so quiet.
Education.
Education, for sure. And what about the thing we...
Religion.
Religion. Yeah. So these are some of the main pillars that the Renaissance rebirthed and remade. How you girls doing? All right. Let's take the challenge. Here we go. Oh, we got Buffer for a second. Got Buffer. Hey, look at that. Little Wayne. Maybe he's a Renaissance man. Little Wayne a Renaissance man? Maybe more so than we even knew. Got an album called Rebirth. All right, so you see populating on the spines of the books here, various figures, very key to the Renaissance and follow-on revolutions, the Reformation, the Industrial Revolution, the Scientific Revolution. We're going to talk about all these in the coming days. Maybe you recognize them. If you don't recognize them today, you will about 2 weeks from now. Chapter 1, the Renaissance. This is that 5 or 10 minute period of a review. So let's have a bit of a conversation, okay? Yes, turn that page. The printing press. Do you think the Renaissance would have even happened without this invention called the printing press?
It probably would have happened, just not at the time.
Probably would have, Maddie has a deep answer, probably would have happened, just not at the time. So maybe, for the benefit of chance, someone help me, define what is the printing press, tell me who made it, all that kind of stuff. Marquand. Johannes, funky word, Gutenberg. Most people just recognize the last name. Okay, so Gutenberg's printing press. Now, what is it?
That's handmade. What is it?
I don't understand it.
I'm hearing a lot of correct answers. Pieces coming together. So the printing press itself was a machine that would stamp pages and ultimately create books. Printing press itself was plenty important. But what was the small little detail that was truly revolutionary?
How on the board it was backwards.
The first time we printed the Bible.
I'm hearing several people say the letters, the letters had to go in backwards to make a stamp, right? Called movable type. I showed you several pictures yesterday of what the movable type actually looks like. Maybe if it's a common word like the, THE, maybe you had a little stamp that was that. Or if there were individual, you could take, how many letters make up every message in the world?
26.
Gutenberg said, give me 26 soldiers of lead and I will conquer the world. So the movable type is what was truly revolutionary, allowed for books, newspapers, pamphlets, posters to be printed. What were two really key attributes? Printed more what?
Efficiently.
And? Cheaply and efficiently, which allowed messages to spread further around the world. So good. I think we have a pretty fair review going on so far. A device to easily make copies. It spread reading to the common people since books became much cheaper, and the church lost its control of knowledge. How did the church lose control of knowledge because of the printing press?
Because they couldn't gossip.
Couldn't spread gossip anymore? Austin, elaborate a little bit. Put your phone up for me. Come on now. We're in the middle of a good conversation.
It's really just cut it.
Okay, well then put it down. Then there's no loss to it. You're getting twitchy with your hands, right? You just need to touch something. How did the church lose knowledge because of the printing press? Its control of knowledge. What's that?
Because there were so many copies.
Because now there were more copies of a particular text. What was that first text that Gutenberg printed? The Bible, that's right. Now, the church at the time was the keeper of knowledge because important printed texts were in Latin. Latin may have been spoken by the common population, or a variety of other dialects also spoken, but not many people, not many commoners could read in Latin. So your educated people, usually priests, people inside the church, were really the only ones that could read what was written in Latin. So the printing press, now yes, can print in Latin. Sure, many texts were printed in Latin, but can also start to print in different languages, more common languages, more commoner languages. So now all of a sudden more people have access to printed texts in their language, so they don't have to rely on whom to interpret anymore. They don't have to rely on the church to tell them what the text says. They can finally read it for themselves. So would you say that, what's the old phrase? Knowledge is power? When or Austin wants to flip it, power is knowledge. The church lost control of knowledge by the printing press printing in various languages. Now all of a sudden people could read scriptures for themselves instead of just relying on the interpretation of the priest. They could read laws for themselves and not just have to have the upper class enforce laws on them that may or may not have really been on the books. You have a question?
How did we get so much?
How do you get so much ink? You know, I don't have a factoid about the ink. Maybe that's what I need to look up next. I'm not sure. That's a pretty good question.
How long did it take them to build
To actually stamp out books and such like that?
To build the type
To build, I don't know his process from idea to actually creating it. I know it's created in 1450. And then here's a notable fact related to time. From all of history up to 1450, there were, a certain number of books printed. Well, in the next 50 years, that number of books was like tripled. So 10,000 years, boom, and then 50 years, that whole number of books was tripled. So the beginning of the printing press led to mass production of books, which ultimately leads to, you guys are affected by the printing press today. Because when you tweet something out, or you hashtag and @ all that stuff, you're sending something digitally. Okay, it's not exactly a printed text, but this began the information revolution that you have in your hands today. So you should say, thank you, Johannes Gutenberg, for your printing press in 1450. All right, printing press, humanism. Humanism is not a word we used yesterday, but I want to bring it to you today. No need to write it on your notes or anything like that. Just kind of embrace it for me for a second. The idea of looking back to the classics and being motivated not by religious texts, but by practical education, this is kind of the idea of humanism. That man is able to accomplish things. Not everything on earth has to be the pursuit of spiritual development. It's okay to enjoy your time on earth. Yeah, heaven is good, and that's a pursuit, but it's okay to enjoy time on earth now as well. God is powerful, this is true, but man can accomplish things as well. I paraphrased a big idea very plainly, but this is what is humanism, and it was a key part to inspiring the renaissance of education, the renaissance of invention, the renaissance of humans having ability versus only relying upon the divine. So I'm not going to spend too much time on humanism. It can be a good thing. It could also become a very secular thing, where now we're cutting God out entirely. People are saying there is no higher spiritual being. We rely on human ability only. So that's kind of the spectrum of humanism. And if I inspired curiosity there, maybe you go do some research, more research on your own on humanism. But pretty core to the renaissance of education during this time period. Yes, sir.
Can you turn it off?
Can I what?
Can you turn the arrow?
Turn the air off? Man, I'm sweating. I don't know about you. Michelangelo has got the sweat glands going.
I'm freezing in my legs.
Okay, I'm sorry. It'll work out. Renaissance began where? Good. Second time I've asked you that today, so it must be a pretty important fact. Here actually is Florence on the map. If I didn't show that to you yesterday, I can show you to you now. Pretty smack dab in the middle of Italy, right? And then I said it's important to know where Renaissance started because why?
It spread.
It did spread, and we got to know where it started, the epicenter, to really measure how far it spread. So knowing that it started in Florence, we can then start to measure, you see the arrows, how far it spread throughout Europe, how far it spread along Roman roads. Oh, so now we're talking about that ancient classical society again. The roads built during the Roman Empire were influential to the spread of a Renaissance, as well as its location along the water, right? So land and sea. Italy's location on the water, and I think we're all familiar that Italy is shaped like a boot, basically has water all around it. That's called a peninsula, right? Geography class. Italy is a peninsula. Well, its access to water, obviously many ports along its coastline, allowed for ideas to spread via waterways as well. Cultures would come in, traders, merchants, travelers, explorers, so people would come into Italy, receive education via these Renaissance ideas, and then return. And I'm not saying they went to college in Italy, but I'm saying, you come from a foreign land, you interact for a while, that's the importance of travel, and then when you return to your homeland, well, you're taking these Italian Renaissance ideas with you. So the location of Florence is pretty significant for several reasons. Over land, Roman roads, and via sea meant the many ports located on the coast of Italy. So good. I think we've reviewed some pretty key facts. Chance, you feel a little bit caught up? Okay, you're looking at your notes. You probably filled in all the key answers at this point. All right, chapter 1, that was a review. Here's chapter 2. Chapter 2, we're going to dive into the artists. Now, I said they're not just traditional artists, okay? Watercolors and paint. What did I say that they were also capable of? I just said it. You know, what other areas were they good in?
Yeah.
Military, tactics, and weapons design. Yeah. Inventions at large. You know, I know that's a broad category, but a variety of inventions. Science, yes, science, and with science comes medicine. Were they doctors per se? I'd argue that they were early doctors, anatomy experts, kind of exploring the human body for the first time and actually drawing it. So there's the artistic skill from the hand leads them to be able to use their brains to actually chart out human anatomy for the first time. So we're going to see a lot of that over these artists in just a second. Here's 4 of the big ones. If you didn't know better, you might think we're about to talk about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but we're not. In fact, believe it or not, the Ninja Turtles got named after these Italian Renaissance artists. So you do have Leonardo da Vinci, Raphael, Michelangelo, and Donatello. These are 4 men who live on via the Ninja Turtles. And when you see that question on the test, you should not choose Master Splinter. That is not the correct answer when you see these names on the test. Who is Master Splinter? He's the rat in Ninja Turtles, yes. Okay. All right, let's go.
Is that really what they dress like?
Good question, Austin. So is that what they dress like? What do you think?
What you're wearing.
Huh?
What you're wearing.
Very similar to what I'm wearing. Oh, yeah. So one, look at their pictures. This is a beret of sorts, and, you know, fancy outer coats. A lot of these guys started more at the poverty level, okay? So to advance into more formal garb like this, obviously this is faux fur. But yeah, Austin, to the best of our understanding, this is Renaissance. What I'm wearing is Renaissance attire, and certainly what they're in their pictures, except for Donatello, also some Renaissance attire. Good question. Feel free to ask questions as we go. You're always welcome to do that. All right, so before we talk about these artists, we need to talk about this family called the Medicis. And you see one picture of, he's kind of the godfather, if you will, and man, I may have just kind of given it away, but Medici. When I say Medici, like what comes to mind? What type of family do you think this is?
Rich.
Rich and wealthy, sure. Rich, wealthy family named Medici. What do you think they're involved in? They're kind of the original mafia. Yeah, the OG mafia. When we think mafia in America today, we think maybe they're epicentered in New York City, or, you know, there's a Cuban mafia inside of Miami, something like that. Well, the Medici were kind of the original Italian mobsters. They were rich, okay, they were bankers. So where there's money, there's influence. Where there's influence and power, you know, there's shady dealings. There's crime and intrigue. There was murder involved in the Medici family, and you know, don't have time to go into all the interesting facts about the Medicis. That's what the History Channel at midnight is for. But here's what you need to understand about the Medici family. They sponsored many artists during this Renaissance time period. You could say they paid them, but you know, we call it sponsoring. The actual fancy word for it is a patron. They were patrons of these Renaissance artists. Now, do we have, I always want to bring it to today, do we have any comparables? A rich person, a rich family
Yes.
who wants to use their
Yes.
money to sponsor certain
Yes.
things? What kind of examples are you thinking of?
The people who like support like 5-year-old baseball team, you know, like.
Okay,
Like
so
they
maybe
pay,
at
they pay for their jerseys.
at a local level, you have Alma Discount Pharmacy sponsoring the 8-year-old baseball team. CrossFit Alma sponsors my kids' baseball team. So thank you, Mr. Graves. Marquand, you're going to say something? Nike. What is Nike? So Nike is a company. Certainly they're rich. What kind of things do they sponsor?
All things sports.
Okay, so you know, you're right. They brand things in sports, but are they involved in? I'm going to say a buzzword here. Are they involved in any social justice issues? Do they sponsor advertisements in a particular direction? Yes. How so? Using the Nike example still.
Athletes.
They sponsor certain athletes. This is true. But have they ever taken out advertisements that have a message that's not exactly related to sports?
Yes.
Yes. Now, Marquand, since you brought it up, I'm just going to go with it. Nike has perpetuated several, they've sponsored several advertisements with Colin Kaepernick, and they get to express their beliefs on that through their sponsoring of Colin Kaepernick. So that's an example. That's a really good example. Did I see a hand over here? What's that? St. Jude's Hospital. Okay, another good example, and that's a really positive, charitable type of organization. Now, again, we're stuck on big corporations a little bit. Can you think of a single rich person, or a couple maybe? All right, husband and wife. Can you think of some rich? Kim Kardashian. What does she want to sponsor? Not quite sure. Maybe that's a fair example. I can't think of anything off the top of my head either.
Joe Biden.
Can we go with Bill Gates?
Yes.
Familiar with the name Bill Gates? Okay, once upon a time, the world's richest man. Okay, I think Amazon guy, Jeff Bezos, has more money now. But Bill Gates is well known for sponsoring things he believes in. And by sponsoring, what do I mean?
Giving moolah.
Giving money, funding things he believes in. What kind of things does he believe in? You know? Technology advances, charities, various medical advances. If there's a natural disaster, tornado, earthquake, hurricane, whatever, his company tends to offer support at that time as well. Vaccine development, okay, don't want to get into any hot button issues, but his companies, he himself has sponsored scientists who are working to create vaccines. Did you say something? Do you have an example? No. So that's probably got a little lengthy there. That's just one example I want to give you. Just like the Medicis sponsored these artists, we today have rich people who sponsor the things they believe in. Now, just like when Bill Gates sponsors scientists, as much as he may want to be hands-off, he still has influence on that, right? It's his money. He probably gets to share a conversation with the scientists, and he gets to impose his opinion or his perspective on it a little bit, right? Just using that as an example. Well, the Medicis definitely did that. When they sponsored their artists, when they became a patron of their artists, their opinion mattered. And sometimes these artists didn't appreciate that. They felt a little handcuffed, like, man, Godfather Medici is telling me how to do it again, right? So there was a little give and a take there. They got sponsored, okay, put food on their table, that's important. But also they had to do their art in accordance with the wishes of their sponsor, of their patron in the first place. So that's a whole lot of information about the Medicis. Suffice it to say, without Medici sponsorship, the Italian Renaissance may not have happened. May not have happened when it happened. Maybe it only would have happened later. The point is, without the Medici family, history as we know it today wouldn't have been quite the same. So, pretty important family. Not on your notes. All of that was extra. What we got next? My man Leonardo Da Vinci. Now, it's me and Michelangelo. I'm not being Leonardo. I'm being Michelangelo today. But we're going to talk about Leonardo in order to get to Michelangelo. So, are y'all ready to play a little game?
Yeah.
You want to play a game? Okay, so I'm going to divide the room right here. So, boom, right on down the middle. I'm scared. You should be. Be very, very, very scared.
And you get a Leonardo and a Leonardo.
Where my stuffs go? All right, welcome to my game show. I call this game Leonardo or Leonardo. So here's what we're going to do. Everybody, you're going to come up one at a time. Okay, a member from your team is going to come up one at a time. You're going to grab my paddles. Got a Leonardo and a Leonardo. What I'm going to do, where's the other red one? What I'm going to do is turn the music down a little bit. Here's how to play. I'm going to show various images. I'm going to show images of inventions. They're things you recognize. You are going to decide if Leonardo invented it, okay, like do, positive, or Leonardo don't, he did not invent it, okay? So it's going to be head on head, one person from this team and one person from the other team. You're going to keep track of your score just on your desktop here. Talon, dry erase, Sage, dry erase. When your team gets a point, give it a little tally. And I'm going to give the winning side +5 in the bonus points category. We a little motivated now? Are we a little motivated now? Give me some applause like at a game show. Woo! All right, first up, Austin, since you're here, you're up for your team. And Miss Braley, you look ready to play. So I want you to come on up, grab the paddles. And here we go. First one is the Mona Lisa, piece of art, famous painting. Is this Leonardo or Leonardo? What do you think? Austin, hold it up.
Wait.
Hold up your final answer. Hold up your final answer. Yeah, you can talk to your team. You can talk to your team. That's fine. It's all good. It's all good. It's just a fun game. Hold it up. Final answer in 3, 2, 1. So I got Leonardo. Leonardo. Answer is, drum roll please, Leonardo! So point for Braley. Not a point for Austin's team. Yes, Leonardo Da Vinci painted the Mona Lisa. Now, why do you think this is such a significant painting? Why are people captured by it?
Because everybody wants to.
People are very interested in her smile. Is she smiling? Is she not? Is it a resting, angry face? Is she entrapped? Some people say she's trapped in a loveless marriage and she doesn't know how to get out. And I don't know. That's art interpretation stuff for you. Suffice it to say, Leonardo da Vinci painted the Mona Lisa. All right, so claps to our first participant. Snaps and claps. Send me one more each. We can just go right on down the line or give me a volunteer. Everybody plays. Everybody plays. All right, next one is the happy face. Leonardo or Leonardo? What do you say? The happy face. Leonardo or Leonardo? You can talk to your team. Talk to your team. Hey, everybody get in on the conversation. 5, 4, 3. Don't slap my paddle. 2. Final answer. Leonardo. Leonardo. Answer is Leonardo. Point. No point. Hey. No. Give me another player. Another player. Come on up. Next we have Terry versus Maddie. All right, let's see what you guys get the game now. You see what we're doing? All right, what we have next is a little bit of sidebar. Leonardo da Vinci, known for Mona Lisa and The Last Supper. Kind of already said that. And his art in Renaissance fashion focused on realism. He felt that people should be reflected as they are, not that medieval, cartoonish type of perspective like we looked at yesterday. All right, moving on. Next up is a horseless carriage, or you may call it a car. A horseless carriage. Leonardo or Leonardo? What do you think? Leonardo or Leonardo? 5 seconds to consult with your team. 4, 3. Final answer? Leonardo. Answer is Leonardo. What? Leonardo da Vinci invented. Now look, on the right-hand side, that's his original sketch. Can you see the screen? On the right-hand side, we have his original sketch. And then on the left-hand side, that's obviously a photograph of what it would have looked like. So, was it a car? Is it a Model T? No, not quite. But it is an early motorized carriage, for sure. All right, give me 2 more. You keeping track? We keeping score? Talon, we keeping score? Yeah, but you have 8 points overall. So we did. We have at least 1.
They don't have one.
Oh, they don't have one? Oh, okay. My bad. All right, come on up. We got Jacqueline and Adam. Everyone paying attention? What we got next? The light bulb. Leonardo or Leonardo? The light bulb. 5, 4, 3, 2. Final answer. Leonardo. Who invented light bulb? Thomas Edison. Tungsten. Tungsten is that key metal. All right. Give me 2 more. Coming on up. Oh yeah, now we're alive. Now we're cooking. Renaissance, Greece. George.
Can't get it wrong.
All right, let's see what we got. Teammates, tuck in, help them out.
Wait.
The parachute. Parachute, I wonder. Consult with your team.
Y'all, that's it.
I don't know. 5, 4, 3, 2. Final answer. Leonardo. Leonardo. Survey says Leonardo. Would you look at that? This is Leonardo da Vinci's original sketch for a parachute. So I'm not sure I would have jumped with that, but at least he did have this original sketch. Hey, by the way, sidebar, have we watched a movie with Leonardo da Vinci this semester? Yes, we have. Which one? Mr. Peabody and Sherman. So you may be thinking about some of those inventions. Mr. Peabody and Sherman. Okay. Huh? He did. This is his original drawing of a parachute. So, like I said, I'm not sure I would have jumped with that, but it is the original, kind of like the parent of what we know to be a parachute for today. All right, give me 2 more. We got Macy. Ooh, without her knee brace, looking better. And Dory. Okay, what's next? What we got? Oh, okay, parachute. Now we're moving on to the hang glider. Did he invent the hang glider? What do you think? Consult with your team if you need to.
If you did the parachute, you have to do the...
Final answer is Leonardo. 3, 2, 1. Leonardo. You guys are catching on. Okay. Here's his original drawing for a hang glider. Hey, are you guys Googling answers? I'll knock you out. You're Googling answers.
No, not Googling it.
Give me 2 more. Next topic or next invention is the helicopter. Now there's no way. I don't think there's any way he did a helicopter. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2. Final answer. We both say do. Bing! Leonardo. Would you look at that? Guys, we're talking about the 1450s. Hey, look, listen to me. We're talking about the 1450s. He came up with these ideas for flight. Parachute, hang glider, and helicopter in the 1450s. That is very ahead of his. Talk about, hey, that phrase, a Renaissance man? Leonardo da Vinci is a Renaissance man. How do you think he did that? How do you think, oh, well, let's do this one more. Okay, who we got? I want Max who hasn't participated yet?
Aubrey.
Come on, Kai. I'll turn the temperature down if you come on up here. How about that? Now? Turn down colder. Ready? All right, so we have the aircraft carrier. You guys have seen how this guy's brain thinks. Do you think he invented the aircraft carrier? Tyshawn, what you got? Final answer, lock it in. Leonardo. 3, 2, 1. Leonardo. He did not invent or did not sketch anything related to the aircraft carrier. Next victim. Max participation. People who haven't done it yet. All right, I got my two contestants. All right, next up we have scuba gear. Hey, do you know what scuba stands for? Did you know it's an acronym? Self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. SCUBA. Self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. What you think? You locking in? What we got? I got 2 people holding the stuffs.
Dude.
Leonardo. Hold it up. Just one of them. What you got?
No, other one.
That's what you said. Good? Okay, 3, 2, 1. Leonardo! He did invent scuba gear. I don't have a sketch on that one. Sorry, you said they won't work for it. So you can see, as an inventor, he was focused on a lot of things related. Listen to me real quick. This is my teach moment. As an inventor, clearly had a creative mind, but he was focused on things that were very related to science. Not just, Dory, I'm teaching something real quick. Not just art, not just sculpting. He was very much a science man. So we see how he's very interested in flight. He had the multiple inventions that were related to flight, the helicopter. In order to kind of understand how flight works, he was also very interested in birds. So he would watch how birds would fly. He would make sketches of various types of birds, big, small, owls, eagles, sparrows. And based on their aerodynamics, he would then try to come up with something that could work for human flight. So he designed many types of flying things. What were the three that we saw? Parachute, hang glider, and helicopter. Yeah, so very interested in flight. I think that's a pretty interesting extra factoid. So, all right, moving on. What we got next? Ooh, one of my favorites. We got Chance and Marquand. The military tank. Did this man invent the military tank? What do you think? Lock in your final answer. Hold it up. Hold up your final answer. Leonardo. Leonardo. What do you say? Crowd, what do we say? Survey says Leonardo. Look at that sketch.
That's a UFO.
You think it's a UFO? So look at this. This is his original sketch. It's circular. Up here, this is a little peephole where the tank commander could pop out and actually look. There were guns, there were weapons all around this thing. So instead of just one main gun, there were weapons pointing all around this circular tank. And I need to look this up. I usually don't say stuff that I haven't looked up. I'm pretty sure it was bicycle powered. I'm pretty sure that the people on the inside were like riding a bicycle, and that's how they could move this tank. So Leonardo da Vinci, this becomes this. Thank you, Mr. Modern Warfare. All right, give me two more. We got more. We're still cranking. What's our score? We have 6-5. Ooh, we got a race going on. 6 over here, 5 over here. We got bonus points on the line. Don't you forget about it. We got bonus points on the line. Who's up? Marquand, you've already gone. You up? Come on, T. Stand on up and reach. All right. All right. Next item.
I'm Nugget. Okay.
Machine guns. Did my man invent machine guns?
Yes.
Consult with your team as you need to. Machine guns. 5, 4, 3, 2. Leonardo. Leonardo. Survey says Leonardo. So, no, not a belt-fed automatic fire machine gun. You can see here, he basically had, now it was on wheels, but it's almost like 8 barrels of a rifle pointing outward, and it'd be like, you know, like one fire would be, so not a but like 8 projectiles at the same time. And this is a whole box of projectiles. You know, like, so, yes, early machine guns come from our man Leonardo DiCaprio. Excuse me. Da Vinci. Hey, where's the real Leonardo? Have you even been up here yet? Oh, he has? Okay, good. All right. Ooh, my favorite. The crazy leg chopping machine that is only suitable for evil geniuses. Crazy leg chopping machine made for evil geniuses. Leonardo or Leonardo? Marquand, lock in your answer. I got a Leonardo. Survey says Leonardo. Look at this. My man. It's like crank powered and chariot led and like whack 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 whack.
That design is one long move. That was his neck to be one long move.
What I got next? I don't even remember. So pause for the cause. We can see that he developed several different kinds of weapons. Would you be surprised to learn that Leonardo da Vinci hated war? In inventing these things, this is a very important point. In inventing these weapons of large-scale destruction, I can't say mass destruction, right, because it's not a time war. He actually hoped to avoid war. He hoped that because these inventions existed, people would stop going to war. He's like, hey man, look, this is a machine gun. Why would you go fight against a machine gun? And he just thought people would stop going to war with each other. Well, did it work like that? What's your question? Well, because it exists, and we don't want to go up against it, we're going to not go to war with each other. Now, George, it's a fair question, because people did continue to go to war, and these weapons did not save lives. Of course, they continue to take lives. So, very interesting that he hated war, but he did invent these new types of weapons, and we talked about all of them. All right, I think this is the last one. Give me your last participant. Last competitor. What we got? We got 6 to 7. Should this one be worth 5? Should this question be worth 5?
Yeah.
Come on, get up there, Austin. A humanoid robot. What do you think? A humanoid robot. 3. Well, we gotta lock it in. Leonardo. 3, 2, 1. Leonardo. Now, is that something that uses artificial intelligence and can self-learn and is related to like technology of today? No, not quite, right? Pretty on the basic side. But guys, it was 1450. The fact that he was thinking about something that could be robotic, man was a genius. Man was definitely a genius. So, pretty sure that's right. All right, so thank you for playing along with Leonardo or Leonardo. Go ahead and take it. Who won? What do we get? What do we get?
How much was it worth?
1.
Okay.
Winners! Okay, hey, Savannah, give me a list of everyone on your side, just so I remember. Hey, did we have fun? Did we have fun? Then everybody's a winner.
They have way more people than we do.
Does that even matter though? Does it matter?
All right, it's a fun game. It's a fun game. I'm the bonus point candy man. Everybody will have a chance to bonus points eventually. Promise. A little bit more on my man Leonardo before we move on to it's me, Michelangelo. So, like I said, he was, well, you can see clearly he's involved in science. His technology and inventions were all rooted in science. I mean, we're dealing, what fields of science were these inventions dealing with? Robotics. Flight, which could be what? Aviation. Physics. Okay, got to have some physics. Dealt with some earth science, especially as it related to gunpowder. Chemistry as it related to gunpowder. Clear, multi-dimensional, multimodal, multi-fields for this man to come up with these various inventions. He was also a student of the body. Like I said, so he used his art skills, his hand, to actually draw the anatomy of the human body. And he was kind of like multi-purpose. He studied the human body to help science, but in studying the human body, his art became more lifelike. So his sculptures could have all the proper, how your arm has that crease and that tendon, and you got your hamstring, like the proper anatomy inside of his art. Facial features, bones and joints, all this kind of stuff. So in his studying, he helped science, but because of his studying, he also helped his art. And here are some sketches of organs, bones, organs. He helped doctors for hundreds of years. His anatomical sketches were in medical textbooks for hundreds of years. I mean, really, it doesn't get any better until the advent of photography. So, again, just really trying to emphasize to you how Renaissance this fellow was, how ahead of his time Leonardo da Vinci really was. Okay, leads me to my man Michelangelo. It's me, Michelangelo. Thank you, dear. We're going to talk about Michelangelo real quick. We'll go to the bathroom. The more rapidly you do the bathroom, we can come back and have fun on the back half of the hour. So first things first, Michelangelo. Michelangelo saw himself as a sculptor, okay? His preferred trade would be to be a sculptor. Now, he was burdened by being gifted in many other fields as well. But if you were to ask Michelangelo, what is your job? What is Spartans? What is your profession? No. Michelangelo would say he's a sculptor. It's what he preferred. He made his first sculpture at age 15, so he's kind of a young prodigy. One of his more famous sculptures is the David. I think well named. Good people are named David. It's just a thing. Why is there a pair of boxer briefs on this statue? Yeah, because the real statue is naked. This statue is said to be the perfectly anatomically correct male, down to all the parts. But again, you can see the physique involved, pectoral muscles and abdominal muscles, biceps, bones, digits, and all the little knuckles and stuff. Like, this is said to be the perfect anatomical male, and it was created. Think about it. Just like the Pietà, which Michelangelo created the Pietà, we talked about that yesterday. This started as a hunk of marble, and through his skill, through his own hands, he created this perfectly shaped sculpture. Yes, sir.
Wait, is it actually that tall, or the people just?
So it's elevated. I honestly don't know how tall it is. We could look that up. I don't know if it's like a 6-foot male or if it's a ginormous 9. I don't know. That's a great question. Now, it is elevated, so obviously the base of it is right here, and that puts people down low. But that's a good question. Let's find that one out together. So he did David. He also did a thing called, a statue called Moses and the Pietà. Now he, like I said, he did not want to be a painter, but he was skilled as a painter, and we're going to learn about that in a second. This is the one called Moses. I don't know the name of this one in particular, but it obviously looks like Christ. And then he did the Pietà, which we saw yesterday, Mother Mary holding the lifeless Jesus. That was his as well. And then does anybody know what this masterpiece is called? Or where it's located?
It's in a museum.
The Sistine Chapel, that's right. This is the ceiling of a very large, church building, chapel building.
Isn't that the building that he laid down?
Yes, this is true. So there is a legend that says he laid on his back in order to paint it, and we're going to look at a couple of facts about that here in just a second. Now this, on my little screen here, does zero justice to the magnificence, the majesty of what is this painting. It is over 5,000 square feet in total painted space. So I don't know how big your house is. My house is under 2,000 square feet. So like 5,000 square feet would be 2.5 of a pretty normal size house. What's your question?
I got a lot.
Okay, what you got, Steven?
How did you get so much?
How do you get so much paint? So, there wasn't a paint shortage. It wasn't the paint itself wasn't some valuable resource. Now, what you did with the paint makes things a masterpiece. Variety of paints, oil-based versus water-based, and, there's even a little bit of science involved in that, which I'm not going to quite get into because that's more of a Mr. McGuire thing. But, to your question, paint wasn't short in supply. Now, he had to work for it, and he had to say, like, hey, guys, we're going to need a junk ton of paint this year. But paint wasn't like gold. It wasn't like it wasn't a valuable resource. Yes, ma'am.
How did you paint it later, man?
We as soon as we get back from the bathroom, we're going to watch a short video that explains that a little bit better than I could, and then I'll certainly answer your questions a little bit more after that as well. Short answer is he used scaffolding. You guys know what a scaffold is? Yeah. Kind of like that big ladder. If you ever see construction work on the outside, so he built. Now this is just looking at the ceiling, but it'd be like building a scaffold up to the point that my arm could actually reach the ceiling. But the scaffolding themselves, kind of an architectural and engineering, masterpiece to make them safe, make sure they don't fall over, right? Make them large enough, all that kind of stuff. Good question. Anybody else?
How did the paint not drip on his face?
How to paint not drip on his face? It's the type of paint he used. He actually used a very, like I said, there's science involved. He used a method where they would apply stucco plaster to the area that they were painting daily. So it wasn't like, okay, today I'm walking up to my wall and I'm going to paint. No, they prepped the area daily. And I say they because he did have teammates. Okay, he had a crew that worked with him, his students, his trusted students. But he did the bulk of the intricate painting. So they would prep it with this stucco, and then they would use a type of paint that would adhesive to that stucco in a way that he believed would be for forever. Because he believed he was building painting a masterpiece. He didn't think this was going to be like, yay for 1 year, this is a really cool painting today. No, he believed this was going to be around for forever. So he intentionally used a very durable paint so that it would be around for forever, which 600 years later, we're still cranking. So it must have worked. What are you actually seeing on here? Now, I know this is, there's a lot of small images, but what type of paintings do you think you're actually seeing? A bunch of different ones. What story do you think they're trying to tell? Story what? Story of heaven. A little bit more. Story of the Bible is exactly right. You can actually split it down the middle. I don't exactly know where the split is right now, but half of it is Old Testament stories, and then half of it is the life of Christ on up to the cross. So he's basically telling the whole narrative of the Bible. Now that's significant because we said the Sistine Chapel, but why is the Sistine Chapel significant? Huh? Who do you think? I'll just tell you, there's a very, very famous lead pastor of the Sistine Chapel. Who do you think the famous lead pastor is? What you got? Pope. Yeah, the Sistine Chapel is the Pope's home church. Now, he's a head of the Catholic Church, the Pope. But this chapel itself, it's not like 10th Street, we're just going to a church. No, this is the church, the home of the Pope. So a very significant chapel. And we're going to actually, this video is going to show you the outside. The outside of it doesn't look super significant, kind of just like a blah building, but it's the inside that makes it very, very ornate and regal and majestic. And yes, it's describing the whole story of the Bible on the ceiling itself. So with that, I will continue to field your questions like always, but let's go ahead and go to the bathroom because it's our time. And when we come back, we will carry on, my wayward sons.
I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. Today? When?
We're gonna get there.
Today?
Today? Yes, sir.
Yes.
Today. Today. Today, Austin. Today.
He's scared. He said something about it.
I have not seen one of those things in actual work yet. That's neat. Just follows it.
It's this device right here.
Oh,
It follows the device.
I was trying to figure out how in the world. Okay, that makes
I'm gonna
sense.
leave it up here while we leave. Yeah,
Watch
I
this
think
thing.
it is pretty
That
cool.
thing's falling everywhere.
Especially from a, say like a distance perspective.
Yeah.
If you had to do distance learning,
Mm-hmm.
it's a great little tool. Last time they came in here, the iPad was dead, so I ended up just audio recording myself.
Alright, a little bit more on my man Leonardo, my favorite turtle. You have a picture of Michelangelo?
No. Hey, you're my dude.
That's what I meant, Michelangelo. We're on Michelangelo now. A little bit more about my man Michelangelo, my favorite turtle. I've been saying Leonardo and Leonardo don't too many times. All right, come on in. So, hey, this is a relatively short, 3 minutes, video about Michelangelo, the Sistine Chapel. Some of those questions you just asked me, and I gave you a little bit of an answer, or I said, hey, we're going to watch a video. So tuck in, pay attention, because this video does a pretty good job of adding facts to everything that we've just talked about.
Today, we will be learning about the work of Michelangelo. You might recognize this artist's name, not because he is one of the Mutant Ninja Turtle characters, but because he was a very famous Italian artist. Michelangelo was born in Caprice, Italy in 1475 during the Renaissance period, a period of time after the Middle Ages in which Europeans were taking a great interest in the classical arts and sciences from ancient Rome and Greece. Michelangelo was considered to be a true Renaissance artist because he excelled in many arts.
See the anatomy on those sculptures?
Painting and architecture. He didn't limit himself to just one form of art, and he worked hard to master them all. Today, we are going to learn about the painting that Michelangelo did on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel at the Vatican in Rome, Italy. This is not just a story of a very big painting. This is a story of trying new things, going out of your comfort zone, and not giving up. Let's start at the beginning. In 1508, Pope Julius II approached Michelangelo and said that he wanted the artist to paint 12 characters from the Bible on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. Michelangelo said to the Pope, "But I'm a sculptor, I'm not a painter," and pointed to his famous sculpture of David, a character from the biblical story David and Goliath. Pope Julius said, well, too bad. I want you to paint the ceiling, and I think you can learn how." Michelangelo thought about it for a while and said, "Okay, I'll do it. But instead of just painting the simple design of 12 characters that you want me to paint, I am going to paint the entire ceiling, over 5,000 square feet, and there will be over 300 characters painted."
How long did you think it took?
What's that? I know how long it took. Let's see if they say it. If they don't say it, I'll
First,
answer.
Michelangelo planned out his painting and sketched it out on paper. He had decided to paint the many stories from the book of Genesis in the Christian Bible. Next, Michelangelo had to figure out how to paint the
So that's the scaffolding, Maddie, to your question a little bit?
So he built wooden scaffolding, which resembled tall, tower-like structures that he could climb up on top of. Then he had to figure out how to paint in a manner that would make the paintings permanent. He had someone teach him a method called fresco, in which you mix sand and lime into a paste, spread it over the wall, and then quickly add colors before the paste dries. Can you imagine doing this method upside down on a ceiling that is bigger than a school gymnasium? I can't. Some people say that Michelangelo painted the ceiling while lying on his back. Michelangelo himself described himself painting while standing up on the scaffolding and reaching up over his head with his tools. Maybe he did both. Regardless, it was very hard work and it took a toll on his body. But Michelangelo didn't give up, even when he discovered mold growing on the fresco. He insisted on working by himself and making the ceiling just right. After 4 years of very hard work, the ceiling was completed. Hundreds of people pass through the Sistine Chapel every day and stare up at the amazing ceiling. Perhaps you or your parents have seen it. It is truly a historic and awe-inspiring work of art.
Anybody ever been there?
I want to now.
Yeah, me neither, but I want to. Guys, I love that statement. I haven't been there, but I want to now. Man, that makes me happy. That's exactly what I hope you get out of this class.
Yeah, it looks so neat.
Yeah, right. So Stephen asked me how long do I think it took to paint it. Did they say the answer?
4 years.
4 years. There you go. Yeah, so 1508 to 1512. Now that's not 100% consistent work because there actually was a bit of a squabble over how much he was going to get paid over it, and he took some time off till he got the money he thought he deserved. But yeah, that's right, you're going to get paid. But 4 years, 1508 to 1512. So can you imagine going to work just knowing that you were going to lie on your back? Or, he did draw a picture of himself showing himself standing up. So, lying on his back or standing up, I would have to believe there's probably a combination of methods for how he painted the ceiling. Maddie, did you see the scaffolding? Right, so we saw the scaffolding now. This is God. This is a very central piece of the painting. God reaching out to Adam, okay, man, God reaching out to man, and the various others as well. Let's see what else pictures we got. Oh, anybody ever been to Disney World, Epcot? Anybody ever ride inside the ball? The ride is called Spaceship Earth. And what you actually do, you actually kind of circle around the ball, or you navigate around the ball up to the top and then back down. But it takes you on, essentially this ride is world history in about 8 minutes. So if you ever go to the Epcot, you need to ride Spaceship Earth because it's a very fantastic ride. It's not it's more educational than you might bargain for. Part of Spaceship Earth has an animatronic Michelangelo, so his arm goes like animatronic. Painting the Sistine Chapel. So a very significant part of our history. I mean, if Mickey Mouse is going to put it inside of his world, must be a pretty important part of world history. What else we got? Yep, there's this picture, and it shows really good perspective of like maybe how high up they were. This is according to a reliable legend. Now I say the word legend. It's according to a reliable source. One of his apprentices who worked with him, okay? So what kind of a source does that make this person? A primary source, that's right. One of his apprentices wrote a biography of Michelangelo in the 1500s, and he described that Michelangelo was lying on his back to paint. So that's a reliable story. Now other stories, a little bit more of a zoom up, other stories do describe that he was standing and painting, and that also comes from, these are his own notes. He's describing himself standing. Oh, look, if he had to brush this one. No. Describing himself standing and painting. So laying down versus standing, I would presume, I would take a logical, educated guess to say that there were various methods for how he painted the Sistine Chapel. All right, what are we about to do? We're about to paint the Sistine Chapel. How are we going to do it? On our backs, that's right. So what I have here, I have a whole bunch of different printouts, scenes from the Sistine Chapel. I also have, this is a Mona Lisa, and it actually kind of asks you to finish it in. So there's a variety of painting or of scenes here. I want you to pick one. I'm gonna give you some tape. You can choose whichever one you want. Okay, there's a whole bunch of them. I'm gonna give you some tape. I want you can get however much space you need. Tape your painting underneath your desk. Lay on your back and create a masterpiece. Yes, I'm serious. Some of you are giving the is he serious look. So get cozy, like whatever you need to do. I'm going to give you a swatch of tape here. You can break it into 4 pieces to tape it up. I got the colored pencils. You can use your own. Hey guys, I also got these markers. Miss Overstreet brought us these markers. So if you want to do markers instead, welcome to do that. Play some stick jams.
How much tape will you get?
Take a little piece and then you can break it into 4. However much you need, you know, not So do good work because we're going to hang them outside. I don't know if you saw in the hallway as you walked past. Do good work and we're going to hang them outside. Grab whichever print you want. As soon as y'all get situated, I'm going to lay down and finish mine as well. I started in first block. I'm going to keep going. You can spread the desks out, move them around. Yeah, some of you are noticing the gum that's stuck underneath the desk. And guess what? Your fellow students did that. So next time, maybe it was you, who knows? Next time you're considering putting gum underneath the table, maybe
I just need tape. That's all I need.
Where'd the tape go, Maddie? You got the tape.
Here goes some. I got some.
Okay. There's that blue tape floating around. You can take a couple inches and then tear it into 4 pieces.
We're using a middle school dripper, bro.
Let's not fight over the sharp pencils. That's cool. Where'd that blue tape go? People getting what they need? George has the blue tape.
Wait. There we go.
What? You can use it. What's up? I don't know. Can't really place it. I'll take this out. Sharpen the pencils as you need to. Markers. Time to create a masterpiece.
I
believe in you.
He's a middle school dripper.
We got some extra desks, so if you hate your desk because it's got a bell on it, you can just get it on one of them.
I can't get on this desk.
I don't want to see mine.
Tape's over here.
No. No, never, not a, no.
I don't think I can do it.
Ew.
Yes. It counts. You can make it work. I believe in you. Yeah, where's the tape?
I'll take the boat.
That's cool. Can you skip me? Nice tape. Tape. Tape, please. I'm trying to find it. I don't know what's going on.
That's why you tape it.
Who has tape? Who has tape?
We got 30 minutes. That's a lot of time. I bet you can make a masterpiece in 30 minutes.
Where's that?
That's a lot.
I need that, but
Get to work, man. Don't think about it.
thank you.
I like that.
The ball again, though.
Remember, Michelangelo did this for 4 years. I bet some of you are going to be tired in about 4 minutes.
Yes, 4 years. It's right here.
Hey, excuse me.
Excuse me. Oh, I was supposed to do mine on your desk.
That's right.
Excuse me. Can you hand me my uniform? What's it called?
See how hard it is?
Oh, I can.
My desk is so.
But my back hurt. I ain't feel like doing this already. Look at, stop trying to relax.
Hey, make sure there's enough space. Just be kind as people are walking around. I know we're getting those movies. Not your average lesson in 9th grade, is it?
Bro, how did he do this?
Right? How did he do this, bro? Let me next spec. Miss Lee's gonna be like, why am I looking at Mark 1 the whole time?
Thank you, house strength.
Coach Regal sent a picture to your mom. What? You got this. As soon as y'all are situated, I'm gonna finish my masterpiece.
Hey, bro, thank you.
What you got? You got a bunch of gum? It happens.
Do you have anything to help with that?
I'm not supposed to go.
I get that box out of my background.
Daddy, I don't know where you
Hey, can I lay on this box and help my back so that my short armatosis can reach? Please? Please? Please?
Bro, that's my kid's brain.
I don't
Put
care.
him down. You'll figure it out, Michelangelo. You'll figure it out. I believe in you.
Mr. Swanson, can you give me a yellow?
Where you at?
I'm kind of stuck.
Where is it?
I don't know.
A yellow what?
Anything.
Bro, I'm still taking mine.
Hey, Adam, can you do me a really big favor? And sharpen this really big, just a little bit.
Jose, color something. Color something, Corey. You're always doing peace signs, aren't you?
What do you like?
Okay.
You got it? You situated? Situated?
Go up on this.
All right, we're about that 4-minute mark. How we feeling? You're like, oh, I'm going to go quit.
You got no paper.
Now you know why he negotiated for more money, right?
This is true dedication. I even colored.
Reach forward. Reach up. We're getting looks from the outside. They're like, what's going on?
So bad. How does he choose my
Right? All right, I'm going to lay down and continue my masterpiece.
What happened to my paper? I need more paper. Well, since I got no
Tyshawn, the papers are right here. Here you go, buddy. No more excuses. Oh, yes, the master does what the students do.
Oh, like yours.
Oh, you gotta run his turn, but you can talk to
Bro, what colors I need, bro? You can drop my clothes, bro. My bad.
Hey, why do we
I got his face.
I don't want to
Hey, Michelangelo's right on the ground with you. You're not doing it by yourselves.
I don't know what colors I need. I can't stand it. He didn't
I need a flashlight.
Are you doing good? Hey, I don't see the backpack. I brought a pillow.
Did you know we were doing this day? Or did you just happen to have a pillow?
I just happened to brought a pillow today.
That was good timing, wasn't it?
Yeah. Because my dress is so long and my neck hurts.
Okay.
You didn't send me anything.
Look, he did this many different ways.
How did he use the bathroom?
He had to take a bucket up there.
They say he did this in many ways. He did it standing up and down his back.
Mark. He listens. You can't say he doesn't listen.
I can't mess up this shirt.
He gonna be under the city.
Okay.
I need like some arm elements.
I can't get up.
You know, Michelangelo, that's dedication.
You're wasting it on the phone.
You gotta get all the details right.
Oh, about those parts. I might have to do it.
Hey, him that. Touch me.
I got a red.
Ooh.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm retired. Keep it where you going. I'm retired.
I think your daughter could draw better than us right now.
You're pretty good. God must get him straight. Oh, God.
I can say,
I can say I have never put it on my bed.
I'm the best artist of all time.
How are you doing today?
I don't know. That's okay. I just get tired.
I feel bad for whoever's behind me. Use your backpack.
Oh, it doesn't work. My backpack's too hard. It's locked up from under here. He has a white on the white shirt.
Please not step over me.
Dang, Swanson, bro, you cheating, bro.
I'm not cheating.
You didn't come up here this morning.
Say about that now. Yeah, How about that? How about that? My masterpiece is done. I'm gonna go hang up outside. Ooh, and if you really love your masterpiece, I'd love it if you signed it. Love it if you'd sign it. Limbo! Look at that. I rounded out my masterpiece. That's yours? I use bright colors. Bright colors.
You got the same spot I did.
Where are we hanging them all?
Are you done with it?
Oh, bro, these are better than mine.
You got the tape? You got the blue tape?
Sure, I got my blue tape. Where's that marker?
Alright, I would like for you to color every square inch.
How much time do we have?
And we have 20 more minutes before lunch. That's a long time.
Is it okay if it don't look good?
And when you're done, now I'm just as much as you have time, I would like for you to color every square inch. Don't rush through it because we still got 20 minutes. When you're done, you can use the tape you already got, or if you need more tape, that's fine. We're gonna hang them up outside. That's me. It's me, my gun. Yeah, who is this Mr. Swanson?
Y'all can break characters.
These things come from Michelangelo.
What?
It takes commitment.
Yes, it does. It takes commitment. I've heard some good statements so far. I've heard, how did he go to the bathroom? I've heard it takes commitment. I've heard, bro, I don't know how he did this. They're having some good
I
realizations.
just had to draw the skin color and lead fill in my hair.
Things are falling onto your head, falling into your hair. Huh? A brown? Yeah, get up and look for it. There's a brown marker. There's a brown marker.
I'm sure you can get up and grab it.
That's the gender.
At least you can't say you're not having fun, right? We're having fun.
I'm done.
Oh, Savannah had to figure out a flashlight situation. All right, all right. Maddie's using two. Oh, do that again. Do your hands again. The two-hand method. Some of y'all are doing everything you can to keep your hand in the air. Marquand. Marquand was listening. You can't say he's not. He wasn't. Tracy's doing two hands.
Von Schweer.
Vanellope von Schweetz.
Huh? Right there, bro. Hey, bro, you make sure you put in the right spot next time, pal. Hey, bro. Me and Cameron?
Hey, bro.
Me and Cameron got 5 pieces of art out there.
5.
Let me wear your necklace for a second. Please? Please? What is it? The necklace is correct.
Everything colorful.
The necklace makes the iPod move.
There's no anything.
Ooh, it hurts.
This is flower.
Yeah.
Like in the makeup for like pink and purple.
What's up? It's me, Michelangelo. Hey, you guys get to use balls these days?
Working wonderful.
We got about 17 more minutes. We're in for the long haul. No reason to rush. Create your masterpiece, just like our man Michelangelo.
He's talented.
I like what you all are realizing. Sage was like, how did he go to the bathroom? And Talon says, oh, stuff's falling into my hair. These are all the types of things he would have to deal with, had to figure out during 4 years
And I said your daughter
of his masterpiecing. So, yeah, Sage said my daughter could draw better. That's good. Come on out. Hang it up. Let's go ahead and start another row. Hang it up in the 3rd row right here. You sign your name to it?
I like something.
Yeah, sign your name to it. Claim your work. Be proud of it.
I got it.
All right, good. Go hang it up.